Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. Welcome to the Stork Prints stand. The music you just heard, of course, Beautiful Day by U2. It's not a particularly beautiful day outside, unfortunately, but we hope that what we can show you here today will maybe make your day that little bit more beautiful. My name is Derek, and together with Oliver and Harry here, we're going to present to you the DSI, the next generation in Stork Prints UV inkjet printing technology. Now, the DSI offers extremely high quality and has many unique features, and over the next 10 minutes or so we're going to explain those features and also demonstrate to you how this really stands out in the field of UV inkjet printing. And later on we're going to show you a couple of samples and explain the benefits of the DSI, but first a little background information. Because the DSI has been made possible thanks to Stork Prints' long-standing expertise in digital printing. In fact, as far back as 1986, the first Stork Prints inkjet printer appeared on the market. And since then, over 4,000 proofing and printing systems made by Stork Prints have been sold and are in use worldwide. And Stork Prints also has its own in-house ink production facilities. And this basically gives you two benefits. The first is a consistently high quality of ink. You have a guarantee of that. But the second is that it fits in with the total systems approach philosophy of Stork Prints. So you don't only get the machines, but also the ink that's used in these machines. Essentially, Stork Prints is the only European ink manufacturer that also builds machines. And on top of that, it manufactures critical components itself. For example, thanks to our world-leading position in electroforming technology and in metal precision parts, it makes the nozzle plates for industrial inkjet printing systems. Okay, that's enough background. Let's have a look at the DSI. And probably one of the first things you'll notice is that it's designed like a conventional press. So here we see the substrate coming off the unwind, passing through the web guidance, and it's then preconditioned, first by a web cleaning device, and then secondly by the corona treatment unit. And from there the substrate passes into what we can describe as the heart of the DSI. This is the digital printing platform. And it's here that the ink is not only applied to the substrate, but also pre-cured using these intermediate UV LED pinning stations. And I'll talk about these in greater detail later, because they make a very important contribution to the quality of the end result. Now, after the substrates pass through the digital printing platform, it has the final curing here. This is UV conventional curing. And this takes place in combination with the Stork Prints chill drum technology. So inside here we have a water-cooled chill drum, and that keeps the temperature below 30 degrees Celsius, which means, for example, you can work with heat-sensitive substrates. Now, as I mentioned in the beginning, the DSI is designed like a conventional press, and you can really see that here because it's used in combination with inline finishing. So we have a semi-rotary flexo unit for varnishing, and beyond that, semi-rotary die cutting, and also a provision for slitting at the end. Now, it's good to mention that the DSI can be located beside your conventional presses, so there's no need for a so-called climber room. And that can save a considerable amount of unnecessary investment. But if you had to sum up what's so special about the DSI in one word, then that word is probably modularity. You have modularity in configuration. As I said, it's in combination with inline finishing today, but you can also use the DSI standalone. You can see in the pictures on the screens here, so without the inline finishing. But the modularity goes further than that. And there's two particular points I'd like to talk about. The first one is the number of print positions, and the second is the choice in print widths. So let's have a look at the print positions. What you see here is a total of 10 print positions. Now, basically, you can start off with a fairly simple configuration, CMYK, and you'd have CMYK in these print positions here. But the thing about the DSI, it's been designed so that you can build on that at any point in the future, should you require. For example, in the first print position, we have digital white. And if I may suggest, after the show, have a look at the samples here. You can take some with you. And you'll see this is exceptionally high quality digital white. In fact, one single layer is enough to get screen look opacity. Now the second print position is also an interesting one, because here is where the digital primer is applied. Now, an inherent benefit of inkjet printing is substrate flexibility. But with the DSI, it goes even further, because by applying digital primer, you can work with virtually any kind of substrate, including, for example, machine-coated paper. And there are a couple of other advantages of the digital primer here as well. The first is that it's only applied on the substrate where you're going to print. So not to the entire substrate, but only where the ink will be applied. So that makes it quite a cost-effective way of priming your substrate. And secondly, the priming and the printing takes place in one single pass. So it doesn't impact the process speed in any way. Now, another hot topic these days is extending your color range, your color gamut. And you see in these print positions here and here, we have additional spot colors, orange and violet. And by using the orange and violet in combination with CMYK, then approximately 90% of the Pantone color book is within your reach. And there are still 2 additional print positions left. So at any point in time, if you want to add, for example, additional spot colors, then you have the room to do so. Now, each of these print positions has its own dedicated ink supply. There you go, Oliver's opening the drawers for us. These are contained in here, and what you see is that you can open these drawers and you can actually even replenish the ink supply without interrupting production. The press is simply rolling away in the background, and there's no impact at all on your job. So there's a unique ink circulation system in here that makes that possible. Thanks, Oliver. Now, the second thing I wanted to mention was the print widths. In each print position you have a number of print heads, side by side. And when you use the full width, this is 330 millimeters, then you have 5 print heads, like you see in the screen there. But it's actually possible to print at narrower widths, and then you need less print heads, which is obviously more cost effective. And once again, the DSI, you can start narrow and then expand should you require. So you can actually start at 135 millimeters and then go up to 200, 265, or 330, which is 13 inches, the maximum width in this configuration. But on special request, the DSI is available with a wider frame, which means you can print up to 530 millimeters. Okay, now let's talk a bit more on the printing side of things. And we're going to look at 2 examples of labels. The first is for cosmetics and personal care. And this is a market where the quality of the white on the labels is extremely important. And like I mentioned earlier, with the digital white of the DSI, one single application is enough to give you screen look opacity. But what you see in these labels, there's more than that. You see very fine line work and also crisp and clear text. And this is made possible by the intermediate UV LED pinning units. So basically what happens, the ink is applied here, and then it's pre-cured before going on to the next print position. It doesn't get its final curing, but it's fixed in the desired and predetermined position before moving on. And that's what allows you to get such fine details, such fine lines and such crisp text. And in addition, there's no dot gain, and there's no bleeding into absorbent materials. And it also helps you with your color accuracy, because as each layer of ink is added, by fixing those layers before a new one's added, you don't get any bleeding between the layers. And that, together, for example, with the additional spot colors, the orange and violet, that's what allows you to get this 90% of the Pantone color book. Now, something else that's important for determining the quality of the end result is the digital front end. This is the process by which your print files are made ready for the DSI. And they're color managed, and they take the kind of substrate that you're using into consideration. And the digital front end for the DSI was made by ESCO. Now, as these labels are still coming off the press, there's something else I'd like to point out, and that's versioning. Because what you see here at the moment is that different versions of the same label are coming out side by side. But with the DSI, it's also possible to print different versions of the same label, one after the other in batches. And when you do this, it's known as hot swapping. Hot swapping with the DSI, there is no waste of substrate whatsoever. You simply go seamlessly from one version of the label to the next. And once again, there's no effect on the press speed. Now, we'd like to show you a different kind of label and in a different application area: automotive, industrial, and chemical. And we've chosen this because labels used in these kind of situations typically take quite a lot of punishment. They can be subjected to scratching or to chemicals, or especially when they're used outdoors, to excessive sunlight. And these labels, when printed on the DSI, don't need an extra layer of lacquering in order to protect them, because they're already scratch resistant, they're already chemical resistant, and they have a very high light fastness, equivalent to blue wool scale 7. So I'd just like to briefly sum up. Once again, the real key to the appeal of the DSI is its modularity. You can use it together with inline finishing or as a standalone unit. You have versatility in the number of print positions. You can start with 4 and build up anywhere up to 10. And also print widths. You can start as narrow as 135 millimeters and go up to 330, and on special request, even up to 530. So I'd just like to say once again, have a look at some of the samples afterwards, take some with you. There are brochures on the stand as well, and a sales team that can answer any questions you may throw at them. So I'd just like to say thanks very much for coming to the Stork Prints stand, and I hope you have a beautiful day. Thank you.